that to the mom whose daughter was shot. No matter what, we will always try to help those people. Tell her we're sorry. They have been together for 36 years, but Tom Selleck is leaving everything behind. The Blue Blood star just broke down and told his friends that he can't go on because of what's going on at home. Because of Jilly's shocking news, he has to make the hardest decision of his life. The 79-year-old star hasn't slept in weeks, according to people close to him. He is torn between the job he loves and the woman who saved his life. He was born in Detroit, Michigan on January 29, 1945. He raised him with his mother, Martha. During WIR, Tom's father, Robert, worked as a mechanic on B-29 airplanes for the U.S. Army. For the first 2 years of his life, Tom lived with his grandparents while his father was away. When Tom was 4 years old, his family left Detroit and drove to California in 1949. They didn't have much money, so they only brought what they could fit in the car. It was a quiet neighborhood in Los Angeles, and they used the GI Bill to buy a small house there. California was not a nice place to live. As a real estate salesman, Tom's dad worked without a salary, so the family's income changed every month. But even when things were hard, his parents showed him how important it was to work hard, be honest, and stay grounded. Tom never thought he would be famous or act when he was a kid. Sports were everything to him. He spent a lot of time on the field or court because he loved those sports. By high school, it was clear that he was really good at what he did. Tom stood out because he was 6'4". He turned down a basketball scholarship to Montana State University. He planned to go to the University of Southern California. He was having trouble paying for it. He went to Valley Junior College instead. He saved money by staying at home and working part-time at a clothing shop. His hard work and patience paid off. In his junior year, he switched to USC and got a basketball scholarship. He played for the USC Trojans from 1965 to 1966. He only played in 7 games and didn't score many points, but coaches liked how tough he was and how much he cared about the team. Tom made a big choice in 1967, while the Vietnam War was still going on. He became a member of the California Army National Guard. He joined the 160th Infantry Regiment and did their job until 1973. He became a second lieutenant after going to officer training school. He was later made a sergeant. During his service, he was called to help with big events like the Los Angeles Watts riots. He had a 6-month starring deal with 20th Century Fox at the time. They dropped him when he went to serve, though. When he got back, the deal was over. Still, he never felt bad about the choice he made. Tom did something different before he became a famous actor. He went on TV for the first time in 1965, while he was still at USC. It was his second time on the dating game. He lost. He tried again in 1967, but lost again. After many years, he made fun of it. His answers were awkward, and he didn't seem sure of himself. The funny thing is that he got someone else's attention, even though he didn't get the dates. The producers noticed how he looked and how he behaved on camera. He wasn't very charming back then, but he had something about him that made people look at him. That unexpected interest led to a request to come over. Fox asked him to be a part of their new talent program. There were strict rules about how actors should act, and the goal was to turn unknown names into future stars. Selleck stayed in the program for 2 years. It was extended 4 times, but he still didn't get any big parts. Fox dropped him in the end. They had faith in him, but didn't follow through. He was gone. He didn't give up when most people would have. To pay the bills, he kept going to acting lessons and doing any small job he could find, like commercials or modeling jobs. In ads for Salem cigarettes he was seen, and Chaz Cologne by Revlon. He knew that none of the parts were exciting, but he saw them as practice that would help him improve. At one point during this rough patch, Selleck thought about giving up. He asked his father for help. He wasn't sure if trying to become an actor was still worth it. His dad told him something easy. He told her, "You might feel bad about not going after it when you're 35. That line stuck. Selleck thought about it for a long time after they stopped talking. That pushed him just the right way. He chose not to wait any longer. After that, acting wasn't just a side project. It turned into the goal. He kept adding to his resume all through the early 1970s. Besides Charlie's Angels, he was in episodes of Lancer, Bracken's World, and Marcus Welby, MD. He got some screen time in these parts, but they didn't help him become famous. Many people who watched Lancer never even noticed him because he had such a small part. Even though he kept working, he was turned down all the time. Selleck looked good, which should have helped. Even though he was 6'4" and had a strong personality, casting directors didn't always pay attention to him. His height and clean-cut look were both bad things about him. Afterward, he said that Dustin Hoffman had an easier time getting big parts because he seemed more like a normal person. People were less likely to believe Selleck could act because he looked like a star before he was one. He played Jet Andrews on the soap series The Young and the Restless from 1974 to 1975. The part wasn't very exciting, but it helped him learn a lot. The soap shows were filmed quickly. He had to learn lines quickly and keep his mind sharp during long days on set. It wasn't fun and it didn't make him popular, but he learned how to deal with the stresses of TV. In the end, he said that he turned down a longer show deal. He did not want to be at ease. He was ready to wait for something bigger and take a chance. He finally got a break that felt different in 1978. He was chosen to play Lance White on the Rockford Files. This person was not like James Garner's Jim Rockford. It was rough and uncertain in Rockford. Lance White was nice and had high hopes. Everyone always liked him, and he was lucky all the time. It worked for Selleck, though. He played Lance with a lot of charm, which made people laugh. James Garner saw that he was already a well-known actor, but he still took the time to teach Selleck. Portner told him that even the best parts had flaws. He taught Selleck that someone who is too perfect might not have much to offer. Being honest was important. That piece of advice stuck with him. Selleck used what he learned from Garner when he played the lead role in Magnum P.Y. This person had depth thanks to him. When the Magnum P.Y. no one thought it would change TV as much as it did when it first aired on December 11, 1980. There were palm trees, sunsets, and a Ferrari in this police show that took place in Hawaii. It was more than that, though. At the center of it all was Tom Selleck, a tall actor with a serious beard and a quiet charm. He played more than one role. Magnum was his name. He gave the character depth over 8 seasons and 162 episodes, which wasn't common at the time. When he got the part, Tom Selleck wasn't a big star. He had been in a few movies and TV shows and modeled, but nothing that made him famous. He saw a chance to do something different when CBS picked up Magnum P.I. The figure in the first version was flashy and over the top, who has tools and acts like James Bond. Magnum even used a hang glider with machine guns in one draft. That wasn't what Selleck wanted. He had a fight with the authors. He said he didn't want to be a superhero. His goal was to portray a real person, someone who was funny and had flaws. Everything changed because of that choice. Selleck helped make changes to the writing. Magnum came back from Vietnam with mental scars. His home was a guest house on the grounds of a wealthy author, and he drove a Ferrari that he didn't own. He did little things. He wasn't wealthy. He wasn't always sure of himself. His friends were true to him, and his past still bothered him. People who saw it related to that. It seemed real. Harrison Ford got the part instead, and he got it just 3 weeks before shooting began. Ford became a famous actor. Magnum had Selleck stay with them. Others have said that the missed chance still hurts, but he has never said that he deeply regrets it. Selleck said in an interview in 2024 that wasn't really a cross to bear. Magnum was the best thing that ever happened to me. Later, Karen Allen, who played Indiana Jones in Raiders, said that not getting the chance to play him was one of his biggest mistakes in life. In spite of that, Selleck created one of the most famous TV figures ever. It became popular to talk about Magnum in every way. Hawaiian clothes were real and came from a shop in Honolulu called Paradise Found. While the show was on, sales of those clothes went up by 300%. The Ferrari 308 GTS was cool in the 1980s, but Selleck found it hard to drive. He barely fit inside because he was 6'4", so he could fit on camera. The crew had to take off the padding, move the seat, and fix it in place. His sports cap was also important. The DC Tigers badge on the navy blue cap wasn't just a costume. Selleck was born in Michigan and has been a fan all his life. It felt right for the role for him to wear the cap. In an interview in 1986, he was asked if he still liked the Tigers. He only said one word in response: always. When Magnum was at the top of its success in 1983, ticket sales for the Tigers went up by 18%. Afterward, there was the beard. Very thick, well-groomed, and hard to miss. It turned into its own style. Gillette said that sales of mustache grooming products went up by 22% in the first few years of the show. The Magnum effect was the name for it. It was more than just a style choice. Someone signed it. The reviewers also saw it. In 1984, Selleck got an Emmy for being the best lead actor in a drama series. After that, in 1985, he won a Golden Globe. 25 Emmys were up for grabs, and in 1984, it won for Outstanding Drama Series. That much success didn't come from playing a great hero. It came from playing someone who was hard to root for. In 1987, Tom Selleck was at the top of his rise to fame in Hollywood. Three Guys and a Baby came out that year, and taking inflation into account, that's more than $500 million. 0 cents today. It was an easy story. Three single men are all of a sudden thrown together and have to take care of a baby. Ted Danson and Steve Guttenberg were also in the movie with Selleck. People really liked it. The movie made more money than any other movie in 1987. The story also had a strange twist to it. Few people said they saw a ghost in one scene. It looked like a boy was standing behind a curtain when the VHS was stopped. The story got around quickly, but the truth wasn't as scary. The figure was a cardboard cutout that someone forgot to move. The movie became a classic anyway, and Selleck showed that he was more than just the guy from Magnum P. White. Selleck went in a different direction in 1990. It was a Western called Quigley Down Under, and he played the lead role. There was an American sharpshooter named Matthew Quigley who he played. He thought he had been hired for a regular job, but when he gets there, he learns that he was sent there to do something bad. The part was important and had many levels. It had to feel real to Selleck. Selleck picked out his own outfit. He himself chose the long-range Shiloh Sharps 1874. He even picked out his own horse. He did what someone told him to do about John Wayne. Pick the horse that makes you look the best. Just a few weeks later, Dances with Wolves came out and got all the attention. This movie didn't do as well, but over time, Quigley Down Under built up a strong fan base. A lot of fans now say that it was one of Selleck's best parts. That wasn't all he did. An Innocent Man, which came out in 1989, had him play James Rainwood. The man in question is in jail for a crime he didn't do. The movie showed a very real side of jail life. He had played a nice and calm detective for years, so this was a big change. Selleck leaned into the story's darkness and showed that he could play more important parts. After that, Mr. Baseball came out in 1992. Selleck played Jack Elliott, a baseball player whose career is on the verge of ending, who goes to Japan to try to save it. Not only did Selleck act like a baseball player, he joined the Detroit Tigers during spring training in 1991 to get ready. He went up against real starter Tim Liana. 3 pitches were hit into him before he struck out. Even though it was short, it showed how important it was to him. Toward the end of his career, he worked with Disney. In 2007, he did voice work for the movie Meet the Robinsons. In that movie, he played Cornelius Robinson. It wasn't a big part, but it showed a different side of him. His voice was strong and warm, and it worked well in animation. He had worked with Disney before on live-action movies like 3 Men and a Baby, which was made by Disney's Touchstone Pictures. Tom Selleck did something strange in 1996. Known for his role as the tough and charming Thomas Magnum in Magnum P.I., he now plays Dr. Richard Burke on the hit comedy Friends. In the second season, he first showed up in the scene where Ross and Rachel were together. The studio crowd went crazy as soon as he walked in wearing a tux. The beard and movie star charm were easy for everyone to spot. That Selleck was only going to be in 3 shows at first, but his character became a fan favorite. In the end, he was in 10 shows across seasons 2, 3, and 6. But when they weren't filming, Selleck said he was nervous. He hadn't been in a sitcom in years and told Kelly Clarkson that he was scared to death. Courtney Cox helped him deal with things. It helped that she made him feel welcome, which made their relationship between Monica and Richard more believable. The way they were together wasn't just a plot, it showed a lot of feeling. Monica and Richard were 21 years apart in age. That was a part of the story. But then the real problem came up. Richard didn't want any more kids. Monica wished she could have kids. The story had real weight because of that struggle. It was about more than just dating. It was about making decisions in life and lost loves. After many years, Selleck changed his job totally. During the years 2005 to 2015, he played Jesse Stone in 9 CBS made-for-TV movies. Stone Cold, the first movie, came out in February 2005 and was seen by 18.2 million people. Jesse Stone was the police chief of a Massachusetts small town. He used to work for the LAPD and was going through a breakup and alcoholism. He was a quiet and important part. It let Selleck show a different side of his playing. The person never fully got over what happened to him in the past. The person who made Jesse said he had 2 set traits. He would always smoke and drink too much, and he would always love his ex-wife. Even though Selleck had never done that before, he made it work. He also played in Blue Bloods, which started in 2010 while the Jesse Stone movies were being filmed. The last season of that show aired in 2024. Selleck said that his Blue Bloods character, Frank Reagan, had to follow the rules. It wasn't Jesse Stone. Jesse often made up his own rules to get things done. That difference helped Selleck show both sides of the police officers' identities. He did more than just play Jesse Stone in movies. He did work behind the scenes too. He was in charge of making the show from the start. By 2009, he had a story to his name with Jesse Stone, Thin Ice. After the movies came out, he helped write 2 of them, Death in Paradise 2006 and No Remorse 2010. There were long stretches of silence in these movies, and Jesse was thinking alone while looking out at the ocean. These parts came from Selleck. People who didn't feel bad were praised for focusing more. People liked how the characters were developed more. Author of the Jesse Stone books, Robert B. Parker, even said Selleck did a great job with the character. In 2012, 13 million people still watched the 8th movie, Benefit of the Doubt. After the end of Blue Bloods, whispers spread that Jesse Stone might be coming back. Selleck did something risky in 2001. 1,000 Clowns was his first show on Broadway when he was 56 years old. It began on July 11th at the Longacre Theater. He played Murray Burns, a comedian who was trying to keep his nephew. In 1962, Jason Robards was the first star of the show. It ran on Broadway for 83 shows and ended on September 21st. That was soon after the 9/11 attacks, which made a lot of people not want to go to the movies. Some critics liked it and some didn't, but many praised Selleck for moving out of his comfort zone. He went back to network TV in 2007 with Las Vegas. He started the show in its 5th season as A.J. Cooper, a rich ex-Marine who buys the Montecito Casino. After James Caan left the show, he took over. Selleck watched the whole previous season on DVD to get ready. Due to a possible writer's strike, the production began early that year. In April, there were only 19 shows in the last season. There were many things going on in his life. Cooper owned a cattle ranch that was worth $2 billion. He got a Bronze Star for his service in Vietnam. At the end of the season, Cooper faked his own death and showed up at his own funeral. But on February 20, 2008, just 5 days after that episode ran, NBC canceled the show. From September 2010 to December 2024, Blue Bloods ran on TV. Saturdays at 9 p.m. and Fridays at 10 p.m. were not great times for it, but it still did well. 6.68 million people watched the last episode live, and 11.4 million were expecting to watch it within 7 days. A lot of what kept the show going was Selleck. He was in charge of both a police team and a family. The show stood out because it had a mix of law and everyday life. There was also a family dinner scene in every episode, which became an important part of the show. In these scenes, the Reagan family talked about their problems. Mark Wahlberg and Selleck both said that the dinners brought the group closer together. It looked like the scenes were easy to film, but they were not. It was up to each actor to show, without saying much, how their character felt. Fans have seen big events happen at that table over the years. 2 big events were Jamie and Eddie's engagement and Henry's 60th work anniversary. CBS ended the show in May 2024, even though it had good numbers. It was annoying for Selleck. He thought the network didn't appreciate what they had enough. He said in an interview that the show is more well-known than ever. We have plenty of ideas left. The actors felt the same way. Wahlberg and Moynihan both said the show was more than work, it felt like home. He was just a young actor trying to make it in Hollywood before his mustache became famous and he became one of the most familiar faces on TV. Getting married and having kids at the same time, the year was 1971 and Tom was 26 years old. He married model and actor Jacqueline Ray. When When they got married, they started a family. Kevin was Jacqueline's son, but he took him in and raised him as his own. His job wasn't very well known yet at that time. He was trying to get a big break by doing ads in small parts. They were living in peace, putting together a life, and Tom was focused on making things stable in a tough business. But by the end of the 1970s, things were changing between them. After being married for almost 10 years, they split up in 1979. But they didn't file for divorce right away. Instead, they did something very different. They chose to live apart but stay in touch while they thought about what to do next. Tom stayed close to Kevin even though things were getting tense. No matter how bad things got in his marriage, he never stopped being a dad. The tabloids didn't hold back. The whispers got really loud when Magnum PI started filming in 1980. A lot of people thought that the split was because of his growing fame. That wasn't true though, as Tom made clear. People magazine asked him in 1982 if he and Jacqueline had been apart for 6 months before he started the show. He didn't like how the media told the story, which they called the meaty story. It's not true that a mate dumps their partner after giving them the best years of their lives. In the same year, the divorce was final. He was deeply affected by it. He said it was one of the worst things that had ever happened to him, and said he had always planned to be married forever. He was careful after that loss. He shut down and guarded himself more because he wasn't sure if he was ready for another romance. Then 1983 came along. While Tom was in London shooting the crime thriller Lassiter, something strange happened. He started going to see Cats over and over again. People thought at first that he was just crazy about the show. He went 8.5 times. Jane Seymour, who worked with him, even said she thought it was strange. She also liked the show, but not as much as I did. She didn't know that Tom wasn't going back to hear the music. He was only there to see one act. Gilly Joan Mack, a dancer who was 25 years old, played Rumple Teaser in the show. Tom was pulled to her energy and said she was pure happiness. Gilly had no idea who he was at first. Someone told her that Tom Selleck had been staring at her from the crowd, and she asked, "Who the F is that?" Being so honest with him made him want to know more. It was a simple dinner for their first date. One of Gilly's agents said that was all it took. After that, things moved quickly. Gilly made a big choice when her contract with Cats finished. Her boyfriend Tom asked her to move to Hawaii, so she did. While he was making Magnum PI in 1980,